Sonic Mania is one of the only Sonic games to ever release to just have no haters. It's one of those games that was a lone bright spot of the late 2010s. Mania made it seem like everything was going in the right direction, and then we got a game like Sonic Forces, which is, you know, not the best. So when it was announced back in December that Sonic Mania would actually be coming to mobile for the first time officially, of course. For you actually me in the comments, yes, officially, not a decompilation installation guide that you gotta go on Game Banana to figure out how to do. I'm talking about an official release from Sega. So they partnered with Netflix Games to bring one of the most beloved Sonic games of all time to mobile devices, basically for free if you own the subscription, but of course it is a subscription-based model, which has been troubling to a lot of people. Not too long before that, Sega had released Sonic Dream Team exclusively to Apple Arcade, which was the first domino to fall in this subscription-based model for rolling out Sonic games. So a lot of people are a little bit disturbed by this trend. How do you put one of the better 3D Sonic games to release exclusive to a mobile platform? Well, guess what? Sonic Mania did something similar. At least this game is available to purchase on all platforms, which is nice, but it's safe to say that people are not happy that games are being locked to certain subscription platforms, especially when you consider leaks are also saying that more Sonic games will be going to Apple Arcade and Netflix, etc. This is not the end. Maybe it's just the beginning. So that is the first issue that people have with the game. The number one issue is that the game is locked to Netflix games. If you don't have a Netflix subscription, you cannot officially play this game on your phone unless you take matters into your own hands. So you notice right off the bat, I mean, there's not really too much different with this port, but I'll highlight one thing. The menus in the game look different. Now, are they better? Are they worse? It really doesn't matter. I mean, I don't think it's that crazy of a difference. So this is me playing on my iPad right now. We're going to showcase multiple different devices and multiple different ways to play. Now, the ideal way to play the game would be to plug in a gamepad. If you're playing on the iPad or something like that, the touchscreen controls are really not ideal or optimal. As you'll see, they're down here on the screen, and you'll notice that the actual game doesn't really cover the full screen. If I move this over here, you'll see the touchscreen controls. Since I'm playing with the iPad, it's not really in the way too much, but when you're playing on your phone, the touchscreen buttons on the screen definitely get in the way. Now, I mean, the game's running pretty good. This is a 10th gen iPad. You have the button right here in the corner of the screen, and it's really not perfect. It's definitely hard to play on an iPad compared to the other Sonic ports. Now we're playing Sonic 2 in the iPad, and if you play in the phone, you'll actually see this better. Although there's a black border on the outside of the screen, that's because of the capture card's dimensions. You'll notice that this game actually covers the entire screen, so that's a really annoying part about the game. It doesn't make use of the full screen of the game. And the touch controls feel a little bit better, a little bit more responsive with this little joypad right here. The game looks better. It feels a little bit better. Feels like it was actually made for the phone, whereas the other one, it feels like you're playing on an emulator or something like that. When I'm playing on my iPad, the touchscreen controls are much smaller, and it's almost hard to use them. When you're playing on the phone, it's almost like it's too big and it's in the way of the screen, and when there's less screen, it's harder to control. Now, the game in of itself is basically Sonic Mania. I'm playing right now, and it's really not that bad. When you think about all the ways that are available to play Sonic Mania, this has got to be by far, I mean, it's the worst way to play objectively. Now, is it the sky is falling down? I don't think so. I just think it's very lazy. It's not the smoothest to play with the touchscreen controls, although it's not unplayable. If anything, it's more of just like mid. I don't think they ruined the game or anything like that, but I would probably recommend playing on a Nintendo Switch over playing on this. And people were saying there's a lot of issues with the audio in it as well. I'll show you some other ways to play the game that are actually really good, and then we'll also show you what it looks like on a phone. All right, here we go. So we got the we got it on the Backbone device. Now look, I'm not like paid by them or anything. They should pay me, but I literally just like the product. It's actually really good to use. So we're playing the port, and if you're gonna play the mobile version of this game, this is definitely how you're gonna have to do it. I mean, it plays like Sonic Mania, right? It looks good. The controls feel responsive. They feel fluid. It feels good to play, right? I mean, we're out here grinding. You can use the D-pad if you want. I feel like this is more a product demo showcase for the. Oh my god, I'm playing like trash right now. I feel like this is more of a product demo showcase for the Backbone than it is for anything. But when you look at this game through and through, this is definitely Sonic Mania, just for mobile, right? Boom. Oh, we gotta fight a boss real quick. Here we go. Let's go take him out real quick. Boom. Ready? Pop, pop. Yeah, I mean, let's see. Yeah, you can control tails. It's pretty good. The frame rate runs good. If you're gonna play this game on mobile, like, this is gonna be the way you're gonna have to do it. But overall, you see the big issue with it, and I guess we'll take off the Backbone just to show you guys. The problem with the game, though, is when you get to the touchscreen controls, you'll notice right here on the sides that it's in that 16:19 ratio. So the problem is, it's not like a full, complete screen when you play the Christian Whitehead ports. Ironically enough, this is a Christian Whitehead game, but when you play the other Christian Whitehead ports, you have the full widescreen capabilities, With this, it's locked in that 16:9. So is it terrible? No. People are probably overhyping it at least a little bit. But ultimately, it's not the best way to play this game. I would say it's probably better to play this game on Nintendo Switch or something like that if you're looking for the portable experience. Or if you plug in the backbone, then you kind of alleviate a lot of those problems. But, I mean, just straight up as a touchscreen mobile game, it's not the best way to play. I mean, it really isn't. It's slightly worse. People say that the audio is off. I really can't hear it. I don't know. I'm not, like, super analytical when it comes to this stuff. I'm literally just showing you guys me playing off my phone. But for the most part, it's very bare bones. I mean, the game's free if you have a Netflix subscription. So yeah, that's kind of how it plays on touchscreen as well. All right, so now we're playing Sonic 2, Christian Whitehead port, and you'll notice that this covers my entire screen. The frame rate looks a little bit better. There's no delay. Like, I feel like when I was playing the other game, there was a little bit of stutters and stuff like that. Nothing too crazy, but like nothing too noticeable. But that was definitely something that I saw. And you just look at this game, and it's a lot smoother. It's clearly designed and optimized for mobile. It's not like, I mean, you could call this a port or whatever, but it feels almost like a ground up like remake or something like that. And, this was made by Christian Whitehead and his team. I think what they need to do is just bring back Christian Whitehead and his team for pretty much everything. The wider screen works a lot better. Like when you're playing on the touchscreen and you have the little D-pad joysticks or whatever taking up half the screen, in addition to the screen being 16:9 locked, you have something that's just an inferior way to play. Now, like I said, I'm not a dramatic guy. It's still Sonic Mania. You can still play, especially if you use like the backbone or if you use a gamepad or something like that. Overall, I would just say it's the worst way to play Sonic Mania. It's the worst way to even play a classic Sonic game on your phone. But ultimately, the game, it's still Mania. It's still good. Touchscreen controls, regardless, even in this game, it's still touchscreen controls. It's still not ideal. So you really shouldn't be playing with touchscreen controls regardless, but sometimes you need to. So that's kind of like the difference between these two games. And I just wish that Mania, if they made it like this, and they made it for purchase, it would probably be a lot better for people. But you see the difference between the two. Well, I still think it's probably not the most ideal way to play a classic Sonic game on your phone. It's still, again, Sonic Mania. The reason why they probably even did this in the first place and didn't just offer it for sale, which a lot of people would like, is probably because the game is $20. So it's like, are they going to offer a cheaper version of the game? There has to be a selling point for the original Sonic Mania because it's so good, and it's definitely going to still move some units during sales and stuff like that. So I think it's a little bit dramatic to like really lose your shit over this being like in the state that it is, but it's really nothing to get too excited over. If you really had no way to play Sonic Mania and you had a Netflix subscription, it is what it is. They weren't going to offer this game for like $3 as a phone game when it's $20 on console, so obviously they needed some type of selling point for Netflix games. Kind of makes sense that they did this. I'm just not really moved over the top about it. Like I said, if you're going to play this game mobile, use a controller or play it on your Switch. Either or is acceptable. It would have been a lot better to get this game like the Sonic 1 and 2 and CD mobile ports. That would have been perfect, but this, despite all the hate, will still probably get the job done. I just hope that if they release future games exclusive to Netflix games, it'll actually be optimized for the platform, but that remains to be seen.